everybody. This is the Module 12 roundup video. I'm sitting in one of the many offices at Get Smarter. This one's called Brand Promise, and you can see on the wall there are nice pictures of, faceless pictures admittedly, of graduates who have succeeded on the courses being run here. Okay, we are now, because you've handed in your project plans, we are now in a good shape. That's a big step in terms of your workload. Excuse me, sore throat. We don't want you to get sick, by the way, as we run into the final products in this course. So, some of you have talked about how big, some of you have produced 200-page project plans. My goodness me. And clearly that's an overstatement of any project plan. Some of you have produced much smaller project plans. And some people have said, but why are these plans so big? Our projects don't require such big project plans. Remember, this in a way is an academic exercise. We've walked you through all the different modules where you've contributed to those particular knowledge areas and you brought it all together. So yes, we've been very thorough in asking for a lot of content in the project plan you've just handed in. But you have to make that decision. Whenever you do a project in the future, you have to decide how much time and effort and how much content is required to cover the knowledge areas for that particular project. So worry about that and make sure you get it right. There's been a little bit of student syndrome coming through this particular topic, and you have now got to decide not to do that anymore. Student syndrome leads to disaster, chaos, and all kinds of mayhem. The noise you hear is the next door. There is something called the sweat box, which is the Get Smarter gym. So there are people leaping around, and you might hear a few knocks, bangs and stuff here coming through the wall. And my apologies for that. It's going to take us 2 weeks to mark this. We're going to try and do a thorough job, and we're going to use all the current tutors to do that. And you might say, well, why wouldn't you use all the tutors? Well, one thing has happened, and that's Pizzo, who some of you know very well now. Pizzo has decided to go back up to the university after he stood out from his company and took a sabbatical and concentrate for the rest of this year on his PhD research. So he'll be leaving us, but he will continue to do some marking specifically for the project plan. We've decided, some of you may know the halo effect. We may have mentioned it when we're talking about performance appraisals. The halo effect is when, because I think a student's doing well throughout a long period of time, I look at their work and I already decide that this work is good. The reverse halo effect applies as well, where I look at somebody's work which is very poor, and before I even look at the current work, I've already made a conscious decision that this work will also be poor. So we're going to reduce this halo effect considerably by not marking the work we have been marking throughout this topic. Somebody else will assess your project plan other than the person, the tutor, who has been looking at it throughout the topic. We think that's a very fair approach, and we think that's how performance appraisals should be done as well. The halo effect is bad news. So there you go. So Pizzo, moving on. The changeover, we do have a new person on board. The changeover should be fairly smooth. You shouldn't really see that. So I'd like to welcome to the class, to the course, Alan Clark, who will be a marker. You won't see him as a tutor. He will be in the background for the time being. He's very highly qualified in project management, has a considerable number of academic qualifications behind his name in this topic. So looking forward to him joining us and wish him lots of success. So that's the project plan. So let's talk a little bit about strategic project management. And you've already handed in Module 1, so in a way this video covers both finishing off Topic 3 and starting Topic 4. And hopefully you're now getting back into the flow doing some of the interactive work, working on some of the quizzes, etc., etc. Now remember, this topic is 10 sessions, 10 modules, and then 2 exam sessions. So it's very, very short, relatively speaking, and it will go by very, very quickly. You have talked a little bit on the forums about agility and customer delight, and I wanted to stake that claim very quickly that that's what we want from a company. We don't want to look at the old traditional company that I came from, that I worked in. I want to think about not just current company and their approach, but also the future. So we've put that stake in the ground saying customer delight is what we are really looking for as the driving force behind an organization, not just bottom line and looking after the shareholders. So yes, many of you said strategic project management is evident in your companies, and it's going to be very interesting to see then how the rest of these modules link to your thinking, your experience, because you do now have a context to look at some of the areas we are going to be checking out. So that relationship is a good one, and I'm looking forward to how that works. And yes, we're back to wikis, folks. Group wikis, and remember, we want to see that wiki as a means for you to use a condensed form from the notes to help you with your exam prep. When we go into Module 2, which you will have started about now, because it's been released, notice that that is part of the SPM jigsaw. We're trying to build a jigsaw puzzle here with different components to bring it all together, so competitive advantage is one of those parts of the jigsaw. So we hope you look at that with a renewed interest, and not just as a motherhood statement that we have to be competitive. Look at it, try and get under the covers of that particular topic, if you will. And then moving on, there is another online tutorial, and I thought we all had some interest in that online tutorial that we ran last weekend. There is another one coming up in Module 4, but there are also, and that's the last of the online tutorials, by the way, in Module 3 and Module 6, we're having time tutorials, and those will be very, very similar to exam questions. The ones you've done in Topic 3, we're trying to force you into a timeline, squeeze you a little bit in terms of time. These two will be very close. So the more effort you put into preparing for those and making yourself available and ensuring that you do a good job in those, the better prepared you will be for when we get to Modules 11 and 12, which is all about exam prep. And more about the detail of those 2 weeks in due course. We'll be running those just for you, but you might start to think now about taking time off from work or not. Again, it's a choice, it's a decision you have to make, and it's good to plan now. So think about doing that. You may take some study leave. You may have to take some annual leave. Definitely not sick leave, of course, but definitely those are 2 weeks where you can put an enormous amount of preparation time into your work before you attend the exam on the 15th of December. So think about how you might plan forward for that, and in the meantime, let's get stuck into competitive advantage and beyond in Topic 4. See you next time. Bye.